community to partake in the increasing opportunities across various sectors. To catalyze this, county governments have put in place a couple of strategies aimed at attracting and retaining investments. This includes enacting policies and regulations that encourage the growth of specific industries and investing in critical infrastructure. Specifically, each of the county governments has identified at least 5 value chains that are visible for aggregation and high prospects for value addition and industrialization. County governments are therefore seeking partnership with you and your networks to accelerate the growth of counties as industrial hubs. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the investment areas where we see great potential for investment and therefore collaboration include in the agriculture and agribusiness. Our counties offer vast arable land and favorable climatic conditions for a wide range of crops. 2 manufacturing and industrial parks. Kenya is strategically positioned as a regional hub for manufacturing. Our counties are establishing county industrial parks, offering prime locations for the diaspora community to establish manufacturing plants. 3, renewable energy. The potential for renewable energy projects in Kenya is enormous. Our counties have significant solar and wind energy potential, making them ideal for investment in clean energy solutions. Our infrastructure development. Kenya's rapid urbanization requires substantial infrastructure development. Investment opportunities abound in the construction of roads, bridges, and other critical infrastructure projects. Healthcare and pharmaceuticals. The healthcare sector in Kenya presents a wide range of investment prospects. We can explore construction and management of modern medical facilities and manufacturing of pharmaceutical products. Tourism and hospitality. Kenya's rich biodiversity and breathtaking landscapes and culture make it a premier tourist destination. Counties offer investment opportunities in eco-lodges, hotels, desert drives, and related tourism services. ICT and technology. Kenya's technology sector is dynamic and growing. Counties are creating innovation hubs and technology parks. Housing and real estate. The increasing urban population creates a significant demand for housing and real estate. Collaborations in affordable housing and related infrastructure projects are ripe for investment. Finally, education and skills development. Investment opportunities in the education sector include establishing training institutions, vocational centers, and e-learning platforms to enhance the skills and knowledge of our workforce. Distinguished participants, the county governments want to collaborate with the diaspora community as active participants in the development journey of our counties and country. You are already doing a lot, and you can do even more. We look forward to structured dialogue between you and the Council of Governors and invite you to visit our counties. Do not hesitate to book a date with the Council of Governors to fast-track your engagement with your county of choice. As I conclude, I thank the organizers for spearheading the process, wish you fruitful deliberations, and extend a special invitation to you all to join us for the county government's session on Friday, 15th December, starting at 10:30 a.m. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency Governor. Allow me now to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the CES for the Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Karibu sana, Waziri Mkuu.
Thank you, Madam Jogo. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the Governor, Madam Kihika Kimani, Susan Kimani. The father was somebody I knew. Then my two principal secretaries and other principal secretaries present, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Hamjambo. I will be very brief because Madam Jogo has spoken to the issues very well, and the President wants to have a one-to-one engagement, and I do not want to eat into that time. I want to try and shorten so that we can maximize on that interactive session. But I'll just highlight one or two things. One, it is so significant that this event is taking place here when we are celebrating 60 years of independence. That is a critical milestone. The message here is that the Kenyan diaspora has truly come of age, and it is therefore important that they take their rightful space in the development agenda of our country. A few days ago, I was in the UK, and I had an opportunity to interact with the diaspora there. They are raring to go. They want their footprint broadened. And therefore, this gathering here will give us that opportunity to enable that to happen. My request to you is that we need your help to also inform debate on the local scene. Your Excellency, let me just pick one example, something called privatization, because our diaspora is really exposed to a lot of models of privatization, of partnership between the public sector and the private sector. We want you to be part of this robust debate that is taking place in Kenya today. Because for us to make sense out of anything, it has to be an informed debate. And your exposure on certain aspects contributes significantly to this. I was, maybe 2 weeks ago, as we were at the COP event led by His Excellency the President, one of the news items that was running was that the Saudi Investment Fund had taken up 12% shares in Heathrow Airport. The Saudi Investment Fund purchasing 12% of Heathrow Airport. Now, I bring this as a vivid example because as the Saudi invest 12% in Heathrow Airport, have they uprooted it from London and taken it to, say, Riyadh? It still remains an asset in the United Kingdom, but they are part of the profit process. We need to get our people to understand that when we talk about broadening the space, it's to bring in capital, to bring in technology, to bring in resources that you may not be able to raise on the local front. Now, it's this kind of engagement that I'll be putting across to you as members of the diaspora to enrich that debate on the local scene so that the broader aspects of us drawing capital and bringing in FDI can be seen from a broader perspective. We were having a light moment with the President here, and somebody said, why are you selling KICC? The government talked about privatization. They did not talk about disposal of KICC. two distinct things. What would be wrong if part of the Diaspora Fund was to become a fund that invests, the Kenyan Diaspora Fund becomes part of the partnership in actually commercializing the KICC operations, but it is also an investment that benefits you and benefits the people of Kenya. So these are some of the engagements that I would say that might be very, very useful as you converse, so that we help in enriching debate here and broadening exposure, so that people don't start imagining that the government of Kenya is on some kind of free-for-all disposal activity. That is not the case. Now, and therefore, as we talk about the other investment opportunities along, please think about these issues and figure out how you can perhaps help us in making sure that the understanding is deeper, better, broader, and therefore we can move faster. With these few remarks, it is now my honor and duty to invite His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to address us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, PCS. Please, let's take our seats. Asanteni sana. Partners who have put this event together, Prime Cabinet Secretary and your team from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Issues, our members of the Diplomatic Corps who are here, and our diaspora, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Hamjambo. Karibuni sana nyumbani. For those of you, I'm told some of you came straight from the airport and to this meeting. Some of you came a little earlier. Karibuni sana nyumbani. Welcome home. And I hope you will be staying back for Christmas and maybe possibly New Year. But remember to go back to work. I am delighted to join you for this important Diaspora Investment Conference, where powerful conversations shall take place touching on the core of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Before I go further, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you, and in particular, Kenyans who have traveled from far and wide, from different continents, and using different means. And again, let me repeat, Karibuni Nyumbani. I'm also quite proud to witness the culmination of the government's commitment to our diaspora. And for the sake of clear context, I shall set out our commitment in a bit of detail. In our plan, we committed to create a dedicated State Department for Diaspora Affairs whose mandate would be to improve government service delivery, establish a diaspora forum, promote greater local investment by Kenyans living abroad, facilitate through intentional measures greater access to overseas employment opportunities for Kenyans, foster the transfer of knowledge, skills, technology through strategic engagement, promoting the welfare of Kenya's diaspora, and leveraging our diaspora to enhance Kenya's international profile. We have been committed to enrich our engagement with our brothers and sisters living and working abroad beyond the asymmetrical preoccupation with remittances. At any rate, The diaspora's contribution through remittances has overtaken the performance of our major exports and are now constitute a major anchor of economic stability and driver of investments in our country. The State Department of Diaspora Affairs is the host of the first Kenyan Diaspora Investment Conference, whose agenda is dedicated to facilitating richer conversation, fostering greater understanding, and strengthening our partnership in investment promotion across various sectors of our economy. This event, therefore, eloquently testifies to the government's commitment in delivering its commitment to the diaspora. I am encouraged to note that during this conference, you are going to be engaged in robust deliberations on various dimensions of investment, from general experience to sectoral components like financial services, real estate, and strategic value chains like agriculture, manufacturing, healthcare, and of course, the new sphere of creating creative economy. I am glad to note further that this conference promises to facilitate rewarding engagements on such specialized investment areas as public-private partnerships, the fintech and startup ecosystems, and that the Kenya investment environment, which has now significantly upgraded its attractiveness proposition, as well as aspects of social welfare and social protection relevant to both you living in the diaspora and to your families living here in Kenya. As government, and by keeping the promise of bringing diaspora issues to the center of our policy, programs, and initiatives, I am happy when I see such events that seek to engage a section of our population that was for a long time sidelined on matters of national development and national discourse. However, for the diaspora to be involved in the socio-economic development back home, they have to be secure and flourishing in their host countries. As Government of Kenya, the security and safety of all citizens is our foremost commitment and most fundamental obligation, without which every other endeavor, including the conversation we are having here about investment, would not be possible. We shall continue to engage our diaspora across the globe with the objective of providing systems and structures to protect the rights and welfare of diaspora while mainstreaming their contribution to nation building in every sector of our economy. During my first engagement with the diaspora in December 2022, I committed to decentralize, automate, and digitize as many government services as we can so that the diaspora can access them online and do not have to spend hours or even whole days traveling to get consular service. I can confirm, as indeed my PS diaspora has, that we have expanded digital provision of public services to encompass 14,000 services, government services. And it is our commitment to ensure full digitization, which has not only enhanced efficiency and integrity in the provision of government services, but also improved revenue collection. Additionally, we have rolled out the mobile consular service exercise that has now covered 22 countries and served over 9,000 Kenyans abroad at the closest points to where they live. To connect our highly skilled and innovative human capital with employment opportunities, we have developed the global labor market strategy that will facilitate Kenyans, especially young people, find work abroad. Our objective in implementing all these measures to create safe migration pathways, friendly environment to work in the diaspora, and seamless networks that facilitate, promote, and support diaspora investments back home. The theme of today's conference, Tujenge Kenya, Bridging Borders, Building Futures, is a call to action, summoning us to make our contribution to the growth and development of our nation and to build bridges across all real and imaginary barriers, obstacles, and borders that stand in the way of our progress. This event, therefore, serves as a platform to strengthen the bond between Kenya and its diaspora, to forge partnerships that transcend borders, and to build futures that are prosperous and inclusive. As a country, we are entering the phase of economic transformation where opportunities abound in every sector, and we encourage you to seize your chance and reap a rich yield. You've heard from Susan, the governor of Nakuru, about the opportunities in our counties. They will have an opportunity to engage with you, I'm told, on Friday, so that you can explore the opportunities in various parts of Kenya, the richness of our nation, the diversity of our opportunities, and look at what each and every one of you can mobilize, either yourself, individually, collectively, or even working with other partners from where you currently work, to see how we can promote our country, because you are the foremost ambassadors of Kenya, wherever you are. I recognize, appreciate, and commend the Kenyan diaspora for its role in decolonizing, democratizing, and globalizing our economy. I encourage you to leave this conference with a strong resolve to do more and earn more from the opportunities that continue to unfold as we undertake the bottom-up transformation of our economy. Let us embark on this journey to build a nation that thrives on the collective efforts of its people, both at home and abroad. We are keen to work with you to harness your networks in order to channel more investments to Kenya and create opportunities to move this country forward. I wish you, good people, all the best as you engage us. And there are many agencies of government. There are many departments of government that will be having this conversation with you. The ministry has mobilized different actors in our economy so that they can directly answer some of your questions. They can directly canvass their positions with you so that you instead will be their agents wherever you are, because Kenya is the collective project of all of us. Whatever it is that each and every one of us can do from whatever position, whatever vantage that you have, should be for the greater good of our nation. We are a great nation. I am very confident about Kenya, and I'm very confident about the future. And I promise you that Kenya is going to change. This, our country. Take it from me. 10 years from today, people will come to Kenya and they will not recognize. We will have transformed this country in a very fundamental way. And it is going to take difficult, smart decisions, and I promise you we are very well underway in making sure that we change our country. We have always, I promise you, all leaders in Kenya, they know what should be done. Everybody knows what should be done. But it never gets done. So this time around, we are going to be intentional. We are going to be deliberate, because we must do it. Yeah, we must do it. Let me give you an example. All of us, in the two main formations, we had identified housing as a very important program that will do 4 things for us. Number 1, it will make sure that millions of Kenyans who live in indignity, 7 million Kenyans, good people, live in slums in your country. Informal settlements, greatest indignity, no water, no road, no electricity, no toilet, you know? We have 1,410 slums in Kenya. It's not just Kibera. You know, whenever we talk about slums, people think it is Mukuru and Kibera and a few places. 1,410 countrywide. So we need to liberate our people from the indignity of living in slums, number 1. Number 2, we need to get Kenyans to own a home. And for them to do that, we have to have social housing, we have to have affordable housing. We have now reduced, we now will have a unit that will cost 400,000 with a tenant purchase of 3,000 shillings a month. And finally, a Kenyan will own a house. You know, we've made it look like owning a house is the privilege of the people who have means. We must make it owning a house is a right for every citizen who lives in our country. Number 3, it is our opportunity to grow jobs. In just the last 8 months, we now have 120,000 Kenyans working in our housing program. In factories that manufacture cement, factories that manufacture steel, transporters of all the construction equipment, manufacturers of construction products, engineers, architects, plumbers, technicians, electricians, including laborers. That's a whole ecosystem of people working. These are people who would otherwise be jobless today. My intention is that we are going to double these numbers by March next year. We are going to triple them by end of next year. And in 5 years, we will have 500,000 Kenyans working, and the whole country will be a bustling construction site. And much more importantly, as you all know, the amount of land fragmentation that is going on in Kenya is alarming. We have whole counties like Vihiga and Kisii that if we don't do something about it, so shortly they will become rural slums. We need to reverse land fragmentation. And housing is the tool we have to reverse fragmentation and to give us an opportunity to save the land that we have for production of food and production of other items so that we can drive our food security initiatives, but also provide settlements and housing for our people. And finally, we will stimulate the whole ecosystem of manufacturing of construction products. Recently, I was giving a check of 140 million shillings to, you know, those fellows on Ngong Road. You know those fellows there making furniture there on Ngong Road. Those fellows nowadays are entrepreneurs. You know, wale watu mnaona tu ni watu jua kali. Siku hizi wako noma sana. You know, they are doing for us doors, they are doing for us windows. They are now a company for a housing plan. So this beautiful project was in the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza. The same housing project, complete with percentages of the levy, was also in the Azimio manifesto. But when it came to implementation, my friends, that is where the devil lives. Nobody wanted it implemented. Because we all want to talk about it. It is good. You know, we go tell the people, we are going to do this, we are going to do this. When hardly people mean it. I am telling you, this time round, I am implementing it. And I am so determined because we must do it. Korea did it, Singapore did it, Malaysia did it, and that is why they are ahead of us. We know what we must do, but we cannot gather the courage to do it. But this time round, whatever it takes, we are going to implement it. We will also give you guys a chance. You don't have now to harass yourself, or you are looking for cement, I don't know, you are looking for steel, I don't know, you are looking for stones to go and build a house. Just log into Boma Yangu. I think it is 832 was Boma Yangu. Hinga will come and brief you, my PS for housing. You will choose for yourself the house you want. It is the responsibility of the government of Kenya to deliver that house to you. Kazi yako ni kulipa tu whatever it is that you need. You don't need to know me, you don't need to know Hinga, you don't need your relative, you don't need your friends, because you know what they do in most cases. So we will save you the trouble. So this, I've just given you an example of why we must change Kenya. Yeah? And I promise you that we're going to move this country in the right direction. We will make the difficult decisions, we will make the smart decisions, because we owe no less to the people we told that this was going to happen. We are also going to save public money. We are spending billions of shillings sustaining companies. We have 350 public companies, public entities, yeah, that just take money from the budget. We're supporting them. Billions of shillings. Some of them you ask, what is this one doing? Nobody can tell you what the hell it is doing. But we are putting in 100 million, 200 million, 500 million every year. So some of those things, we are going to make a decision. And by the way, very interesting. A report was already done. A whole report saying these companies, about 150, should be removed. What they are doing can be done by the private sector. In fact, sell some of these companies to the private sector. The private sector will give us more value out of them. Yeah? Some of them divest. But the report has been here now 10 years. Because it's a very difficult decision to make. But I will make the decision. I promise you. I will make the decision and take the consequences. Because Kenya must move. Ama namna gani? Yes, if we know what the right thing is. My friends, you can never go wrong by doing the right thing. How can you go wrong by doing the right thing? So we are going to make those decisions because, and I am talking to you as members of our diaspora, because we must change. change Kenya. I don't want to talk about taxes because you guys, I know, you know how much you pay. Munajua. Sindio? So, and you see, sovereignty is managing our own affairs. And, but we are going to work this journey together. And by the way, the Kenyan people are very wonderful people. They can see logic, they can see sense where there is sense. When somebody tried to say we should get rid of the housing fund, many people stepped forward and said, look, for the first time, we have jobs. For the first time, we can feed our families. For the first time, we have an opportunity to own a house, an opportunity we have never had. Because the cheapest house in town was like 2-3 million. We have now brought it from 2-3 million to 500,000. That is the difference we are making. Democratizing the owning of homes. So you're going to have a great investment conference. I will be here shortly because I have another assignment, but I really wish you the very best. And I look forward to another engagement, maybe next year when we come and see how we can take this forward. Asanteni sana, my very best wishes, Merry Christmas, Happy Wonderful New Year, and I wish you well.
The panel now come and take their seats, starting with Joanne, who's the moderator for this segment. We'll also invite His Excellency to come and join us as part of the panel as we engage. And with Joanne, you can take the seat right at the end there, or maybe this one here. Welcome, Excellency.
Hello, Joanne. Very good.
The panelists, let's take our seats, please.
Hello, how are you, my friend? Professor. Did I say hello? Okay, hello, how are you? Very good.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's a great honor to have you on my panel. I will be showing off for the rest of my life. And Your Excellency, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, I acknowledge you and I acknowledge everybody in the room, all protocols observed. But I do have to make a special mention of the PS for Diaspora Affairs and our coordinator, Ambassador Helena Thiambo, Gichuhi, who have really made sure we got things right. Your Excellency, I'll go straight into it. I'll introduce myself and then introduce my panel. My name is Joanne Mwangi Yobert. I am an entrepreneur. I run a company called Professional Marketing Services. We are represented in 32 offices in 24 countries, and I have employed over the last 25 years more than 25,000 Kenyans. I love brands. I am a communication specialist who loves brand. My singular honor has been to chair the Kenya Tourism Board, where I could use my skills. And there's nothing that makes me happier than when I'm working on the biggest brand we have in Kenya, which is the country Kenya. Today, my amazing panel consists of some of the most successful Kenyans here and in the diaspora. And I want to start introducing them, starting with my sister, Nthenya Mwendwa. Nthenya describes herself as strong-willed, forward thinker who studied fashion in Malaysia, came back to found the label Saba, a sustainable brand that is environmentally conscious. She creates beautiful bags and accessories that revolutionize high-end fashion, heritage, and sustainability. She came back to Kenya after 14 years. My second panelist is Mr. Joel Onditi, a Harvard and MIT trained technology expert with over 15 years experience in the industry. He is at the cutting edge as the CEO and president of Pathways Technologies Limited, employing over 100 employees. He also teaches at the University of Denver, Colorado, and he runs his company both here and in the US. Our third panelist is the Right Reverend Professor Lucas Jenga, sitting right next to you, and he is a very patriotic diasporian. He heads Heart of the City charity, which has supported Kenyans for over 21 years, and leading the economic advisor and director of US-based Global One Voice. He has offered solutions to challenges across Kenya. I will ask my other panelists to introduce himself because I did not get the chance to meet him earlier.
Thank you so much. Mr. President, my name is Jason Musioka. I am based in South Africa. I hope you recall me from our presentation with the Diaspora. So in terms of what I do, I am based at the University of Pretoria. I also have my own research company that is headquartered in Pretoria, the Frontline Group. I'm a development economist, so it's a development economics firm. We do extensive work around the world, Mr. President. We've done a lot of work in Malaysia. We've done work in with Mauritius, Lesotho, and other countries. But currently also busy working with the IGAD in terms of harmonizing migration data guidelines, Mr. President. So with that, we also do a lot of innovation work in South Africa, particularly in the mining industry, where we develop technologies for the mining companies to be able to communicate with mining communities effectively.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And with that, Your Excellency, I'll go right into it, and I'll start with Joel. And after Joel, I will seek your engagement, Mr. President. Now, Joel, you have more than 10 years' experience in systems architecture and development, project management. You've worked with nonprofits. And as it is said, in the new age, data is gold. You either mine it, but don't bury it. So within the Kenyan context, are we really mining it or are we burying it? Over to you, Joel.
Thank you very much, Joanne, Mr. President. In Kenya, currently, there's a wave that's moving around, and this wave is of transformation and the whole digital economy. I was privileged to be with the President in San Francisco in October on the roadshow, where we were pitching Kenyan talent to the world, to Silicon Valley. Happy to let you know that the word is getting out there. We are exporting our local talent out there. In terms of data is the key for today's development. As a government and in public policy, as we think about analytics, we have a lot of data that is buried in different forms in the country. Analytics can be used for a couple of main things. One, informed decision making. As the President and the team are looking at delivering service to the people, we can mine this data, analyze it, use AI to deliver service to the people and make it very targeted to the people. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, and thank you for your brevity. So, Mr. President, in which way do you feel that we could leverage on the strength of people such as Joel to help us, especially in developing our Konza Technopolis and our Silicon Savannah brand, which has been one of at the forefront of positioning ourselves as a country? Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, my friend. It is true, we were in San Francisco, I think 3 months ago, to profile Kenya for what it is. Kenya is a great tech ecosystem. We have young people, we have an ecosystem that actually has huge talent, enormous expertise, creative, innovative people. And that potential, unless it's turned into opportunity and monetized, becomes a waste. And it is the reason why we have, as one of the pillars of this administration, a digital superhighway with all the attendant issues around it. We want to use the technology, we want to use the digital space to use it as an enabler of all the other government services, whether we are discussing agriculture, whether we are discussing health, whether we are discussing manufacturing. Technology and the digital space is going to be our greatest enabler. It is the reason why we made the deliberate decision that we want every government service first to be on the digital space. We now have close to 90% of government services in the digital space. Last year, we had only 350 government services. Today, we have 14,000. And we are continuing to discover some more. In fact, when we started, we thought we had 10,000 government services. We discovered that there were more than 10,000 because of what my good brother there has said, data. Now we are building a bigger ecosystem of data. We can make decisions with clarity. We can make decisions with specificity. You know, we can know we are intervening here. Let me give you an example. We decided to register all farmers. 5,000 farmers of them we now have on our digital space. And we decided for the first time to distribute fertilizer using an e-voucher. The results are amazing. For the first time, we didn't have the kind of pilferage, theft, corruption that always accompany distribution of fertilizer. So we are already getting value for leveraging on technology. Let me also say that, Konza and the Silicon Savannah is not a place. It is not a river. It is a mindset. It's a whole, it's a whole thinking. So, sometimes I find people, they go and lock themselves up in a concert at the river. That's not what it is. It is the whole ecosystem that we are building around technology. In fact, we just found partners to do the data centers, which will be in Naivasha. We are leveraging on the green energy to sell data centers as a green product from Kenya. It is the only place you will have green data, and we are going to make this available globally. So that whole space, I don't know, I think I have said too many things. I'm just trying to give you the buffet of what we are doing in the technology and digital space. Just before I came to this meeting, we were having a conversation with my CS for health on how we are going to digitize, actually the journey for digitization of our health records. Because we need to make health records portable. We need to make the whole health ecosystem, from commodities, prescriptions, claims, interoperable, so that it becomes a lot easier. And in the process, we will gather a lot of data on prevalence of diseases, what do we do with our commodities. KEMSA is going to be a different place after we digitize that whole ecosystem. In fact, by June next year, you will have a different experience with our health provision, again, because of technology. And that's the reason why we have big pushback from people who do not want us to digitize health. That's why they've gone to court. They want to stop us because they run remote hospitals that do not exist. We were being briefed about a hospital in Kino that is doing more surgeries than Aga Khan and Nairobi Hospital combined. So I sent my CS, can you go and look at this miracle place? And those are the people who have gone to court because they don't want us to digitize the space so that they can continue to game NHIF. I promise you, we will stop them. And we are going to digitize this space. So technology is going to be a big part of our and we will need people like Joel. People like Joel to work with us. We can leverage on their knowledge, their expertise to drive our own agenda here at home. Sorry for saying too many things.
No problem, Mr. President. Next time, I think I'll try to cut you short if you're not saying nice things, but you were saying nice things. And I will say, Mr. President, I think it is clear in everything that there are some people who thrive in chaos, and they create chaos so that they can thrive. Unfortunately, data provides transparency, and with transparency, the chaos is eliminated. So thank you very much for your comments on that. I'll go back to Joel so that we finish on the technology questions, and I'll just ask you. We talk a lot of things about things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, augmented reality, and these are the things that are like child's play to you. And I would like to know, in your investment at Pathways Technology Limited, how has this contributed to the Kenyan economy and the community around you?
Thank you very much, Joan. And Mr. President, you're spot on the technology. At Pathways, we've been running for the last 10 years in the US, but leveraging the young people here in Kenya. We've had about 1,000 people go through Pathways, and we're happy to say that we get rated all the time by Safaricom, Google, Amazon, which to us is okay because we're creating employment. What we've done is we have a very, very solid training program that we're now scaling up with the help of Konza. We have an MOU where we plan to train 20,000 young people over the next 5 years in some of these very high-tech skills, AI, machine learning, and all that. So the future is bright. Like I said, there's a big wave going around, and Kenya is the destination. Forget about India.
Thank you. That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Kenya is the destination. Now coming to you, Prof. You lead a lot of people in diaspora, and I believe that Proximity Point is established on about 40,000 acres. This is a housing development that is being called the City of Return for the diasporans, and His Excellency has spoken at length about the issue of affordable housing, and this is an area of great concern for majority of us as Kenyans. Maybe you can just talk to us about how you want this to be the first green city in Kenya, and also how you've been able to mobilize all these people, any challenges you've encountered very briefly, so that then we can see whether there's any intervention that His Excellency can put in place to make sure that even diasporans coming can be able to invest in that space.
Thank you very much, Joanne, and I think this is an amazing opportunity to kind of communicate this officially in this place. So before we actually articulated how to come back, because some of us have been in the diaspora personally over 32 years, and we feel that it's a time for us to engage with the country. So we formed an organization which is called One Voice Consortium. One Voice Consortium has over 110 organizations across the board, and that's in the entire diaspora. Through that, we did kind of a proper research to identify which part of the country would be suitable for people like us coming from cold countries, and then what is the economic potential, what is the government agenda in that region. And we identified the Lapsset corridor, that is the end of Kilifi County into Tana River and into Lamu County. So we just had that transaction. And what we saw there was blue economy, agribusiness, technology, and the like. We also identified that in one of the sub-counties that we'll be working in was the poorest county in the whole country. And for the diaspora, remittances was not enough. We wanted to be participants of strict career transformation. So through One Voice Consortium, we mobilized. We've traveled across the entire diaspora communities, and just last month I spoke to over 2,000 Kenyans in Dallas, Texas, and how we mobilized that is kind of saying we have younger generation that has no historical traditional attachment to Kenya. How can we create an atmosphere for them that makes them attracted? They earn 10 times more than we earned when we went to the diaspora. So the strategy is to work with this generation, create resources, especially through the industrial park, to enable them invest not necessarily emotionally, but because they can see the returns on their investment. So our prayer to the government is that we get proper documentation, a special economic zone, so that we are able to channel directly our billions of dollars into Kenya and then rechannel them into the rest of the country.
Excellent, excellent. And I think you had a point in terms of the ease of doing business, yes, where we would get accelerated services, yes, where even if it was a premium service, people coming in from diaspora, yeah, could process, for example, land titles, etc., yes, in an expedited manner so that they can then invest effectively. Mr. President, would you have a comment?
It's, in fact, we in the whole space about delivery of government business, delivery of government services, from visa issues, land transactions, investment opportunities. That is a space that we haven't been doing well. Our investment branding has been very limited. And in fact, one of the firm instructions I have given to CS Miano, and she knows what to do, and I have confidence in her ability to do it, is to make sure that the investment authority has clarity on how long it takes to do what, who does what, and what is the investment journey for any investor in Kenya, so that it is predictable, it is known, and it is public. That is the correction we are making. So if you give us just another couple of months, we should be clear, because that is the space that we haven't done very well. But let me say the following, that what my brother is saying here about the special economic zone and all the other policy decisions that we have to make. If you look at today's newspaper, we have in the today's newspaper an advertisement to put infrastructure and the first phase of 6 special economic zones in Kenya that have already been gazetted. The 6 special economic zones are targeting opportunities like the one my brother here is talking about. Export-led, incentivize investments. We are targeting FDI on one side. We are targeting exports of different products on the other hand, and we are building an ecosystem that will facilitate, fast track, enable that to happen fast. So we have a special economic zone here in Thika, we have one in Sagana, we have one in Nakuru, we have Dongo Kundu, we have Naivasha, we have Busia, we have Eldoret. We are looking at other opportunities in different parts of Kenya. So, but it has to be targeted, and we need to know what are we trying to achieve. For example, the one in Thika, our focus is going to be pharmaceutical companies. We want to be specific so that, because we still import 70% of our pharmaceutical commodities and products to Kenya. And it is part of the reason why I was having a conversation last week with Prime Minister Modi, because we are importing almost 50% of all those products from India. And my conversation with him was, we cannot continue doing this. He has to mobilize his companies to come and invest in Kenya with Kenyan companies, to employ Kenyans, and to produce products for Kenya and for Africa from Nairobi or from Kenya.
Excellent. Can we clap for him? I think that's a really big initiative. Mr. President, I wasn't cutting you short. I just thought that was a really brilliant point, because I think we all know that healthcare has been a thorn in the flesh of Kenyans, and if we don't deal with it, we have a serious challenge going forward. And with them coming here to set up companies, we create jobs, and at the same time, we deal with the problem that we are facing. So thank you, Mr. President. And you also referenced the issue of foreign direct investment and also exports. And so I segue directly into our next panelist, Nthenya. Nthenya, you have single-handedly created a luxury business. And this business, you have been at the Oscars with your fish leather bags. And we know that the BBC has said that as a partnership between the Kenya government and the Oscars, your bag was featured, and actually it was selected as the one to be used by Viola Davis. So given that light of resounding success, putting brand Kenya on the map as an exporter, can you talk to us about the challenges that you have identified that could unlock significant growth opportunities for Kenyans exporting high-end goods to various markets?
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm also really honored to be one of the youngest panelists here, so don't mind if I'm a little bit nervous. Challenges would be definitely funding. There's a lot of funding for the creative industry, but foreign funding. We don't have a lot of local support, so that would be great if we could get funding. Another thing I'd also say is there seems to be an issue finding quality leather. So if we could improve the circulation and distribution of quality leather within the country, it would be great. We'd be able to grow an already thriving leather value chain, so that stakeholders like myself are not looking outside to places like South Africa to start importing cowhide. Like, I have people on a wait list because they want the cowhide bags, but I can't access cowhide. Other challenges would also be just getting younger people into the workforce. It would be great to work with younger artisans. For instance, I went to Milan to learn how to make bags, and it would be great to train people to do the same at that level of quality. I feel like a lot of Kenya brands are shying away from entering the luxury space because of the level of quality control that's needed. So it would be great to start working with younger people.
Awesome, thank you very much, and very precise. Mr. President, they say that when you have a hammer, every problem is a nail. I am a communications expert, and so I tend to see everything through the lens of perceptions. And from my experience working with brands, and from that perspective, I have seen the power of media and the power of feel in shaping perceptions. In the audience today, we have powerful people like Alex Chamwada. We have Alison Gibwini of Aldison Production, who's on Netflix. We've got people who have been doing a lot in that art space. And I was just wondering, segueing on from Thenya's comments, in positioning Kenya through our products for export, what are we doing to support the use of a uniquely Kenyan look and feel or brand presence, so that when we sell our products, we've got a stamp of quality that says, when you buy this product, this is what you're getting. Similar to what we have seen, for example, with countries like Germany, where when you hear it's German-made, straight away they're telling you it's quality. What are we doing in terms of Kenya as a country, as a brand, and what should we be doing, or what can we do with you, Your Excellency?
Thank you very much. Listening to Nthenya, you know, she's saying what I should have said. She's so right, you know, she's so right. Leather is one of the lowest hanging fruits that we have. Why? Kenya is the third largest holder of livestock in Africa. We have the third largest herd, Kenya. And we are still importing everything leather. What are we doing with our, and by the way, we slaughter about 3 million heads of livestock every year, from cows to camels and sheep and goats. Yeah? These 3 million we slaughter, more than 50% of the hides and skin is either eaten by dogs, buried, wasted. It's a whole waste. And it is the reason why this year we have money in the budget specifically for leather. We are finalizing 3 tanneries. We are investing in completing 3 tanneries. One in Kenania here, another one in Narok, and one more place. It is the reason, and I say this with a lot of clarity, it is the reason why, again, today, our PS, Principal Secretary for Livestock, is in India. Because I had a conversation with Prime Minister Modi on their Leather Institute and Footwear Institute and how we can create a partnership. And I promised him that I would send my PS to sit down with what is going on in India, because there is a lot we can leverage on technology. There is a lot we can work with other stakeholders. And my intention is that, and I have said it publicly, we must have a sunset clause on the day we are going to be importing shoes into Kenya. We must produce leather products from Kenya because we have the leather, we have the hides and skin in plenty, we have the human capital at home, we have the market in Kenya, starting with, we import about 15 million pairs of shoes every year. Explain to me why we are exporting jobs, why we are using leather from other people's goats and cows when our own leather and hides and skin is being eaten. You know, it is stupid, isn't it? Yeah. So this is what we must do, and I want to salute Kenya and people like her who are doing something in that space, albeit at a small scale. It is my responsibility and the responsibility of the government of Kenya to scale up what Kenya and those people like her are doing.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Allow me to say one thing. A factory here in Athi River, run by a gentleman called Rao, I went to see him about a year ago. They produce the same quality of leather as you would find in Dubai or in Italy at a quarter the price. That's what it is. It cannot get better than that, would it? It cannot get better than that. So leather is one space. We are not only going to create jobs, we are not going to expand opportunities, but we are also going to create wealth. And we are going to supply our own markets. And that I am very determined in doing. And I was very happy to listen to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And Kenya, you can see you had no reason to be nervous. Thank you. Now, I'll go once again to my left, and I will ask that you speak from the notes that you have made so that you can tell us the main things you'd like to articulate in this conference so that we hear your point of view, and especially representing diasporans in general, not just yourself.
Thank you. So, Mr. President, with the area of economic research, and I also speak, of course, representing the diaspora who sent me here, I think that one of the challenges that we have found, not just in our country here, but around the continent, is the whether the inability or the lack of interest in making use of data for policy purposes. And that's cross-cutting from national government to local government. When in the work that we do, we found that middle income and developed countries, they're really focused on scientific research as a basis for policy. And I think that is one of the areas that perhaps we could look at ways in which that can be a culture in our country. And I think with that, even in terms of, for example, we went to look at your target that you gave to the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. We actually found out that the remittances target is approximately 10% of GDP. And if we compare with other countries, that would be matching, for example, Lesotho, which has about 20% remittance as a share of GDP. So it's that kind of research that we are saying that perhaps we could push that as part of our culture in government, in private sector, and everywhere in the country.
Excellent, excellent. Mr. President, with that, I'm going to wrap up my moderation and hand over to you. And in closing, I want to say, ndege wa mabawa moja huruka pamoja. Birds of a feather flock together, and today we are flocking here to collectively raise the bar and collectively start a journey with your support, where the diaspora works closely with us here in Kenya to make sure that we improve on our economy. And as I close, a little tongue-in-cheek, perhaps, Mr. President, you're very articulate in expounding your policies, the way you see the future, and everything to do with any questions that you're asked. I will ask a question. Why is it that we are not getting that level of articulation trickling down to the bottom so that we get a more positive vibe across the country? Thank you very much, Mr. President.
You see, it is also said that lies go around the world maybe twice before the truth are put on their shoes. And we have a democracy, which we celebrate. And Kenya is a great country, a great democracy. And because we are democratic, everybody speaks whatever they want. Everybody says even the untruths, that fly all over the place. And that is good. It is up to us to put our story across. But it is up to us more than talking, doing. And I am very focused on making sure that we do what we have to do. We will continue explaining. For example, I will have an occasion with the media, God willing, this Sunday. I want to explain to the people of Kenya, to hold space, where are we going, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, how do we get to where we were going? Because I am very confident in the peoples of Kenya understanding and appreciating where we need to go. That's why I was elected. I am very confident that we are going to change this country, and the bumps that we have, the challenges that we have. For example, the example I just gave here. People are fighting housing when the results are very clear. I even saw the other day the leader of opposition saying, why is Ruto exporting too many people from Kenya? Is that really something we should be having a conversation about? We have the single asset that we have as a country is our human capital. We have the best human capital anywhere in the world. And you use what you have. We don't have gold. We may not have big gold mines, but we have our human capital. How do we deploy it to use it as a resource to grow our economy? I have been intentional. I have been deliberate. I have given targets to Roslyn there. I have told Roslyn we must increase our remittances from $4 billion to $10 billion. Si nimekuambia PS? Yes. And it's not just going to come. It's going to come when we connect Kenyans with opportunities in Kenya and opportunities abroad. Yeah? We are concluding discussions with Saudi, for example, so that we stop sending domestic workers. We send skilled workers. We send professionals because there are huge opportunities. We're concluding, I had a conversation with Chancellor Scholz. They need 250,000 people to work. We are concluding the bilateral labor agreement with Germany. It is one KPI that I intend to conclude, so that again we can export labor. We can expand opportunities. We can connect Kenyans with opportunities globally. You guys in the diaspora have already demonstrated a great job that you have done investing in Kenya. We want to expand those opportunities. So what I'm saying is we are doing more, speaking less, because shortly what we are doing will speak for itself. We may not need to say much happening in Kenya.
Wow. On that note, I want to really thank my amazing panelists for that really engaging and invigorating discussion. Mr. President, you've added great value to the panel, and I'm so delighted that you have joined us. And so we thank you very much and close this session so we can hand over back to the organizers. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Let me just say this finally. I know I would have added more value by sitting here and engaging, maybe answering some questions from you guys. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have that moment because I have another assignment and I have a cabinet meeting immediately after this. But there will be many other leaders. There will be many other ministers and PSs and professionals working in this administration that will come and speak to you. And I will have another occasion, as I said, to engage with you as we all of us make our contribution towards making our country great. So to all of you, nimesema asante sana, mimi nawatakia heri, nawatakia baraka, and thank you very much for coming to share your ideas and your suggestions in this conference so that you can inform the policy position of the government of Kenya. We don't just see you as people who have come to invest. We also want to pick your mind on many other aspects on how best we can do this together as government and as members of the diaspora and as Kenyans in general. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So we'll request that we all be upstanding. Your Excellency will exit through this door. If you don't mind, Your Excellency, just a quick picture for posterity for the sake of this. PS Roslyn, if you can quickly. Dr. Singoy as well, quickly.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Okay, asanteni sana, eh? Very good. Microphone, check. Mic, check.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we await the exit of His Excellency, the conversation and the tone has been set. May I ask that we take our seats now? Ladies and gentlemen, Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, we are now getting ready for the
What you were just watching, our dear viewers, is the Diaspora Investment Conference of 2023, which has been opened by none other than President William Ruto this morning, and of course just stating what the diaspora has been able to achieve in the last few years or so, given that they contribute greatly to the country's gross domestic product. And of course he talked about a lot of issues that we're trying to unpack, and of course it ties in to the theme of what we're going to have this particular morning. We're talking about the tourism sector. How has these conferences such as the one you're watching on your screen and many others like the African Climate Summit of 2023 and others have contributed greatly to the tourism sector? You know that the sector has been ailing, especially from the COVID-19 effects and other emerging challenges, especially new trends in the tourism sector. Of course, the president, when he was speaking in that particular program, the theme was Tujenge Kenya, bridging borders, building the future. He talked about how the tourism sector also, not the tourism sector, but the diaspora are going to help him realize some of the achievements of his administration, like the affordable housing. He was talking about 1,400 slums in the country, and he seeks to refine those slums into areas that are palatable to the many residents in the country. Just stated that when you talk about slums, you just don't talk about Kibra, Mathare, Korogosho or Kayole. Other areas are included there, especially across the country, in many areas in urban centers. He also said that 500,000 Kenyans in the next few years will be working abroad. He just stated and announced that 250,000 skilled workers, once they conclude a deal with the Saudi Arabian government, they will be able to send them there. And of course, another hundreds of thousands to Germany as well, given that back in the Arabian nation, we used to send domestic workers, but right now we'll be sending skilled workers. And of course, the president had also defended some of the stance that the government has or decision that they have taken, especially privatizing various state entities. He said over 350 public entities that takes money from the budget, yet they do not show returns. And of course, the of 150 companies, he clearly stated that there were reports indicating that they duplicate what what most of the private sector companies are doing. And of course, the president clearly stated that we're going to see some of the fruits of the decisions that the government has taken, especially on the latest tax measures and other decisions they have been taken. Welcome to the program. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. This is News Check. We're currently following up on what we have been able to achieve in the tourism sector. What are the milestones so far? You also saw yesterday where thousands of Kenyans flocked to the national parks and museum after the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife announced a free entry of those particular national parks. How have this contributed to the tourism sector in the country? We'll be having my guest already in the studio. That is Annette Mulanda, the Vice President of the Tour Operators Society of Kenya, and Moses Oma, a member of the Western Circuit Tour Operators Society of Kenya. We'll be having that.
Uislamu umejengwa kwa nguzo tano. Kwanza ni shahada